Good evening, Style Esports fans, and welcome to the final quarterfinal matchup here in the Style Esports Season 2 playoffs. Today we have a best of three between Bagels and Boyz in the Hood, the number one seed here in the Demacian division here in Style Esports. I am Jarl Carl, bringing you tonight's best of three alongside Axeman87. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Axeman87, like Carl, you just said, but yeah, I've been looking forward to this one. We've had a pretty good playoffs so far, and the quarterfinals especially have really been a shootout thus far. And yeah, I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty close one as well. I don't actually think we've had a one-sided finals best of three yet, but these two are especially close, right? I mean, they're almost neck and neck in terms of stats. I mean, it kind of goes back and forth just looking across the chart. Games played almost exactly the same. There's like one different. Wins slightly lean towards Boyz in the Hood. Kills leaning back towards Bagels. So very, very even teams here. But you know, hopefully we can get a very close little series here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We did have a little bit of preview here. This game was pro-drafted, so these teams are not picking just perfectly in order. They have already done these picks and are now kind of zooming through Champ Select here for us. But a little bit of an assassin versus anti-assassin in the mid lane, something I am noticing here. The Karma versus the Zed. Karma not necessarily super standard in the mid or top lane anymore, usually more in that support role, but she's going to be here up against the Master of Shadows and his somewhat drunk friend in the jungle. So we'll see if she's able to keep herself safe, has that ultimate empowered heal and the shield to keep herself alive, and just poke from that Q to keep Zed down. So we'll see if she's able to stop him from roaming.
Yeah, it's funny. We actually saw the Karma pick come out from Bay Team just last night against TDMA. And Bay Team, of course, the sister team to Bay Goals. And that pick didn't work out very well for them. So I'm not really sure if maybe Bagels just didn't get the memo or something like that. But I'm not 100% on the Karma pick. Carl, I am not sure about this one at all.
I'm sure you also have some thoughts about the top lane selection here for Bagels. I know you're not a big fan of the Aatrox, but that's going to be up against Maokai. Nice, very boring matchup, I think, for both parties. Aatrox tries to kill Maokai. Maokai goes, no thanks, and we just go around in circles.
Yeah, just this one lane, there's so much healing, right? I think either of these champions really necessitizing getting some healing reduction for both of these teams, which is a little crazy considering they're in the same lane. But yeah, no, don't like the Aatrox pick. It's almost never really a good matchup for Aatrox. Unless you're really solid on the champion. And I, to be honest, haven't seen a top laner in Style Esports that I really liked on Aatrox that has a lot of success on the champion. So yeah, not in love with the Aatrox pick, but hey, one of those champions, if you're good enough, you can really make a lot of good stuff happen. So hopefully Blue Castle has some games on Aatrox, but that remains to be seen. Down the bot lane, looks like the Vastaya got stuck on different teams for this one. Zion Bagels and Rakan on Boyz in the Hood. So a little bit of a mix-up there, but we do have both Zion and Rakan in this game.
That is true. Broken Left, like you said, I am a big fan of the Bagels bot lane. I think the Leona offers many of the same, engage potentials that Rakan has, can just go in pretty much at any time from anywhere with that ultimate chain CC, and I think that Luka Doncic is going to have a bit of a hard time down in the bot lane here playing Lucian. I think he's just going to kind of get stunned up. Xayah not really buffed up a whole lot by Rakan. It's mostly Rakan that gets the benefit from that duo, so he is losing more in this matchup. Xayah's damage, remains pretty much exactly the same, even without her lover in the bot lane duoed up with her. So I think this bot lane could put out a lot of pain in a very rapid fashion. This bot lane for Bagels is Xayah Leona, and Xayah should be able to dodge out from the Rakan engage with her ultimate if she does want to do so. So Rakan could kind of go in with that grand entrance and not really enter upon anybody if Xayah is just kind of clearing out with those feathers.
Yeah, for sure. In a lot of ways, these two lanes are very similar, just like you mentioned. And I think where Xayah has more safety, maybe Lucian has a little bit more hard engage. I think I'd probably still lean more towards Bagels. I think the Xayah Leona lane is probably stronger on Lucian Rakan, but you still got to watch out. I don't think the lane is necessarily won yet. Lucian Rakan have a lot of all-in potential. And with Gragas kind of following up in a 3v3 or in a 3v2, that's a very dangerous lane for sure. Something you also need to keep track of is this kind of mid lane. Yo-Yo Bros and Sunny Desu, both these champions have the potential to roam down the bot lane, and that could create a lot of problems for either side. Now, once again, in that 3v3, I kind of like Boys in the Hood a little bit more. I think I like the Zed roam just a little bit more than I like the Karma roam. I also think it's probably easier to pull off as well. Zed just has a lot of push power and can really shove in the lane and make it down in a relatively short amount of time. So that's definitely a factor that could play into this. But we'll have to see. There's a lot of variables moving around here.
I think the early game advantage, especially in that 3v3 in the bot lane, does potentially favor Boys into Hood. Zed, right at that level 6 mark is, very, very strong, has a lot of all-in potential, whereas, maybe a couple of levels later, 5 or 6 minutes later, a little bit more armor starts to get built, maybe his damage output goes down a little bit, but right at that level 6, 5 or 6, 7, 8 minute mark could be a skirmish advantage for them, and I think we might see them go for a bit of dragon control. They are on the red side, Boys into Hood, so a little bit more ability to control that first epic monster of the game. We'll see if they go for that. I think later on in the game, Boys into Hood may have somewhat of a damage issue. Zed and Lucian, both physical damage, the main damage dealers for this team. A lot of tankiness on the side of Bagels, and so I think the longer that this game goes, I like the team comp setup of Bagels a little bit more. I think when it comes to a 5 versus 5 team fight, they have, almost 3 tanks. Sejuani and Leona each count for 1, and then Karma and Aatrox, about half a tank, I would say, on that little scale of mine. So, I think the team fighting for Bagels later on in the game is very, very strong, but potentially the skirmishing, especially with Gragas, with the Predator early on in the game, could be very, very scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it comes down to builds too, right? You mentioned Karma and Aatrox might just end up being half tanks. It kind of depends on the build. I think we're already starting to see with the Keystones that Karma might be looking for a little bit more damage, but there's a world where she just tanks up, right? If she gets behind something like that. With Aatrox as well, looking at Conquer. So that's pretty standard, I feel like, for Aatrox. So not too revealing about where they're headed. Obviously, going to try to make use of Aatrox's healing, but could still tank up as well, especially if things go south, which I expect they will. Not being a fan of the Aatrox thing, but yeah, and just across the board, it really does depend on different builds. I'm especially interested in this Lucian build. There's a lot of kind of back and forth between the more like on hit kind of attack speed Lucian that just builds Bork, and then more the crit Lucian. There's a lot of tanks in this game, especially on the opposite side on Bagels. So I think it might be a good opportunity to get that Bork, maybe go on hit. But I know the crit build has been more popular in recent memory, so it will be interesting to see what they take.
Absolutely. I'm a big Lucian player. I am personally a big fan of the Bork build, especially right now. And I think in this game against so much tankiness and just against so much health, Karma, she might not be building a lot of tank statistics, but she's going to have a lot of HP. You have to feel, maybe a Rod of Ages coming through, Leandris, a lot of HP coming through for her, and obviously the 2 main tanks. And so I think not going Bork in this game would be kind of an int. By Luca down in the bot lane. I think the Bork Essence Reaver IE build kind of mixes both worlds. You don't need to go that Black Cleaver that a lot of people used to run maybe 6 months ago or a year ago. But Bork in 2 crit can be a lot of tank shred, just from that Bork passive 8% current health damage coming through on each auto attack, which is applied twice by Lucian's passive. So could definitely work out for him. We'll hope to see him go for that Bork build. And it does spike a little bit harder. That 1 item spike is a little bit stronger than with the Essence Reaver, where you're kind of just praying for crits all the time. So we'll see what he goes in the bot lane. Xayah, we would, of course, expect to be going straight AD and crit Essence Reaver IE straight away. Just starting to hit like a turret, as I like to say, trying to burst people down before they can get out of her root from a Feather Caller, and the Leona stunts as well.
Yeah, for sure. Not too big a mystery on the Xayah build, like you mentioned, and really kind of echoing the same thing for both supports. I think we're kind of expecting some tankier builds, probably maybe a couple more support items for the Rakan, but should be fairly standard as well. So We will keep an eye out on that. That first dragon for the game in a little under 3 minutes is going to be an Ocean Dragon. So no Ocean sold this game. I know last night in the series, TDMA and Bay Team, we had 2 games and 2 Ocean souls, which I thought was pretty crazy. But oh, here we
Flash
go.
engage in the bot lane. Christian running for his life. Level 2 power spike has been a theme here in Style Esports. A lot of teams not respecting it too much, and that flash engage straight away by Astral actually didn't work out for them in terms of summoners. It was a very nice sidestep on that grand entrance by Christian, keeping himself alive. So did lose some HP and had to expend the heal, but both summoners down for Astral in exchange.
Yeah, we're already seeing that all-in potential from the Lucian and Rakan. Worked out fairly well for him there, and just did a lot of damage to Christian in a very short amount of time. But there's just a lot of engage coming through from that bot lane. Bagels really need to be more proactive because they got a lot of engage themselves, right, Carl? So they could definitely answer back in kind. Just got to make sure you have at least even levels if you're going to do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Do want to have that level 2 spike. We might see a little bit of a fight here in the jungle.
Yeah.
I was just going to say the solo lanes do have priority for Bagels early in the game here. The Aatrox up against Maokai can shove that in, and Karma very easily able to shove in Sunny Daysu in the mid lane on the Zed. It's a rough couple of first levels for Zed. We see him getting poked out down about a wave of farm already. So no fight did transpire. I believe the buff was smited by Personify, able to steal his own red buff and get himself to safety. But some early pressure in the solo lanes to counteract that push in the bot by Boyz and Hood.
Definitely interesting to note. Personify is still actually ahead in the CS, being able to steal back that red. So, despite getting invaded pretty hard from K4, is still ahead. Oh, down here, Astral has Christian getting pretty low.
Gets knocked out. The Blade Caller pulls him back, but no heal available. Christian gonna get himself out. Taken out by the Lucian. What a snipe coming through by Luca, the Ardent Blaze, picking up that kill. That always feels really good for yourself in the top lane. Blue Castle trading flashes with Personify. Almost taking down the Gragas, but nobody dies in the end, and it all ends peacefully up in the top lane.
Yeah, got very low for a second there. Nimbus Cloak saved him from that one after the flash, but Blue Castle still looking for more with Acquiescence. You got to really start to get proactive here on the Aatrox. You got to start getting ahead early, and I think that was a pretty good start there. I mean, it could have gone very south for him there with that Personified gank, so he's done well to avoid dying there. And done very well. But we got that dragon coming up in about 15 seconds. It looks like Personify is making a move on the objective. Doesn't have any vision control of it yet, but would definitely like that Ocean Drag if they can pick it up.
Always a popular choice. Just get some extra regeneration. Always feels really good for yourself. A little bit disrespectful, I think, in the bot lane play. Just to go back to that very briefly by Christian. Didn't flash the grand entrance and then doesn't flash the Ardent Blaze. Probably didn't think that one was going to hit him. Did look a little bit off center, but Lucian's hitboxes can be a little bit questionable sometimes. But a little bit cocky in the bot lane, maybe thinking wasn't going to get hit, or maybe they could fight. Almost worked out for him. But not quite, and I think we'll see as the levels start to increase a little bit, get a little bit closer to those ultimates, that these lanes will become a little bit safer. Christian able to get himself out with the Featherstorm if he does ever need to. So hopefully that safety will come through for him, but a nice little lead for the bot lane of Boyz and Hood, as we see quite aggressive trade in the mid lane, actually. Sunny Daysu going very low. He could find himself in a lot of trouble here. Might have to burn the flash, but his jungler is here. The flash forward from Yo-Yo Bros, and the kill goes over the solo in the mid lane. We talked about pressure, and he converts it into a kill.
Yeah, it's very well done from Yo-Yo Bros. You were mentioning kind of an anti-assassin there, and I think you might be correct there, Carl. Karma really pulling the wool over the Zed's eyes and really didn't even look close. I mean, Yo-Yo Bros is still above 50 HP, for goodness sake. It might change up a little bit once Sunny Daysu picks up their ultimate ability. I think that probably factored in a pretty big way into that little exchange there, but yeah, for right now anyway, Yo-Yo Bro's looking very far ahead. He's got 2 levels on his lane opponent.
Yeah, quite a strong lead for him. He's already 800 gold up, so quite a percentage of the gold in that lane, and has picked up the cloth armor. I think that's very smart, negating out some of that lethality. And of course, the less armor you have, the more flat armor does matter. So that should be a very nice addition for him. You know, working probably toward that Seeker's arm guard. Wouldn't be surprised actually to see the entire Zion's Hourglass first here if he does want to go for more of a tanky style build. That active very useful against the Deathmark from Zed, and would be helpful against the mostly physical damage from the 2 carries on the side of Boyz into Hood. So like that itemization, 20 CS up, doing very well for himself, and I think a very good pick in this mid lane, working out well against Zed. And there's just really no way that Sunny Dazu can do a whole lot. Again, we'll see if that changes with that ultimate. But I have to think the root coming down in the shield should be enough to keep Yo-Yo Bros alive.
Oh, Christian's caught again!
More fighting in the bot lane. Christian taken out immediately. Just blown up by Luca and Astro in the bot lane. There's the culling coming up. Last Quasar has to flash as well. So that is both flashes in exchange just for Luca's in the bot lane as Boyz into Hood continue to push their advantage.
Yeah, that was just crazy. So much damage. I mean, Christian was full health, right? And had Blast Quasar on Leona standing right next to them. But while Leona has some heal potential, I mean, there's just so much engage coming through from Rakan and Lucian that they just didn't stand a chance. And yeah, 100 to 0 very, very quickly. The burst was insane. But now it's Boyz into Hood here on the Dragon. This is going to be very important for them, especially if you're looking up at the top lane. Acquiescence is thinking, oh yeah, this is the good stuff. This is the regen I needed, right? So this is going to be very, very good. Also going to help out Sunny Desu a little bit, especially if they're kind of playing the long game, which they seem to be, kind of trying to stay in lane, maybe poke down Yo-Yo Bros until they can find an opening. It's a little strange. Both these champions in the mid lane seem so kind of adept at roaming. Both can shove the wave so quickly and then have those movement abilities that can get them in a different lane in a short amount of time. Neither of them seem to have left yet. Kind of just content to keep farming up. So not how I would expect this lane to go. But Personify is behind Yo-Yo Bros.
Misses the barrel a little bit, tries to get the double barrel. Yo-Yo Bros trying to keep himself alive with the heal, gets the heal from the ultimate. Yo-Yo Bros under the tower, though the death mark. Gonna clean it up, the swag strat, just walk away. Sunny Dazu saying, I know you're gonna die, I'll see you later. And Yo-Yo Bros finds himself in the death chamber. A nice gank with the Predator from Personify, picking up a kill and evening the mid lane matchup up just a little bit.
Yeah, well, we said it might happen, but as soon as Sunny Desu picks up that ultimate ability, the lane switches up a little bit. Needed some help from Personify, and even though they kind of mess up their combo there with the ultimate into the barrel, they were able to get the kill off there. So, well done for sure. The wet noodle fight continues up in the top lane, but K-Pora is looking to bring a stop to all that. The Sejuani is sneaking between bushes. And does anybody else hear the James Bond theme? I think I can hear it. And now K-Pora is getting the back off, deciding this isn't the opportunity that they thought it would be.
Not quite the 00 number he was looking for, not quite licensed to kill, although he's still thinking about it. He's trying to pass his test, but looks like he's going to stay unlicensed for now and goes back to base. But I do want to point out, we mentioned builds in the bot lane, and Luca has decided to forego my advice and is going straight for that Essence Reaver, and I think that's really what made the difference in that last fight. So in lane, this will give him a lot more damage. We saw Christian being taken out very quickly. That's a lot of AD on the Lucian. Very good AD scaling on his abilities, and so this will give him a lot more burst against the squishy targets. Now, the Bork build is going to have better sustained damage over time and better damage against the tanks, but against Yo-Yo Bros, Christian, and probably Blue Castle, the crit build will do more damage. So we'll see if this kind of early game lane priority investment pays off for him, or if in the late game he starts really just not being able to hit through these big tanks. We'll see what other build adaptations he has for us, but an interesting adaptation, at least in this game, to try to get those kills early on.
Yep, and K-Pora is still looking for these kind of sneaky little ganks here, and now this time in the bot lane. Taking this one pretty slow, though. You'll note that Personify, by this time, who hasn't really been taking these ganking opportunities, is very much ahead in CS and in levels, a whole level ahead. But now both junglers are actually going to back off of this gank. They were both looking like they were going to take that gank opportunity down the bot lane, but both backing off. Now Personify taking the Scuttle Crab. And I almost thought we might get to see Sunny Desu leave lane, but I was incorrect, Carl. Just goes back to mid.
Going to clear a ward, says, I'll go back mid, keep up against Yo-Yo Bros. Here we see the Predator has been popped. K-Pora goes forward, Arctic Assault, but no Glacial Prison coming out yet. Just a little drive by. Say hello, everybody. Say hello to your opposing number. Bit of social distancing, and everybody backs himself off to safety. So Yo-Yo Bros doing very well at keeping Sunny Desu in the lane here, as we might see a little bit more action in the bot lane. Both junglers still hanging around bot. That CS lead has grown in the jungle as everybody's just kind of chilling in the bot lane. Not a lot of farming going on for either of these sides, and the top laners are loving it. They're just saying, we don't even need to worry about these junglers. We can just hit each other and not kill each other for days on end.
Yeah, it's actually Blue Castle pulling ahead with a 30 CS advantage, which is pretty good, right? I mean, they haven't converted into kills yet, but you almost don't need to. Obviously, I think most top laners would be content to just kind of do this well into Maokai. So I think Blue Castle's doing fairly well for themselves. That's well played there, but obviously you would like to convert a little bit of this into some kills, maybe start stacking up and getting fed, but this is probably just fine, right? It'll be interesting to see if Blue Castle gets a teleport play off and can start forcing their advantage on the rest of the map. Kpora might be in trouble.
Fight has to flash himself out to safety. The culling had come through. Didn't want to risk that barrel also knocking him back. Yo-Yo Bros might have to be careful here in the mid lane. Predator not available, but he is a little bit isolated. Does have flash, gets hit by the quickness from the support, and there are 4 individuals in the mid lane for Boyz into Hood taking out Yo-Yo Bros. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication there. Not sure that the bot lane and jungler was roaming up. Seemed like he was just having a merry old time in the mid lane until his death arrived.
Yeah, and maybe some miscommunication from Boyz in the Hood too. Oh, Blastquazer might be in trouble in this one.
Dash straight in there by Luca, not fearing at all. Kpora trying to keep his support alive, but he is going to be paying the price. Achieves the mission, though, saving Private. Blastquazer, the Sun Goddess, is escorted out to safety. Kpora paying the life. Melted away by Blastquazer there and the rest of Boyz into Hood. Very well done by them, and they look to pick up their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, that should be a pretty easy dragon for them to take, but it might have been some miscommunication, Boyz in the Hood and the well as well. Yo-Yo Bros, they're able to take them down, but use like 4 ultimates or something to do it. It's a lot of cooldowns for 1 kill, and even though it's the mid laner, I think they probably could have gotten the kill with maybe just 1 or 2 of those. But hey, they're pretty far ahead at this point, so maybe it's not going to matter.
They're winning the game, don't question it. It worked out, so it must have been a good play. That's what they're saying in the chat. Yo-Yo Bros asserting some dominance here in the mid lane, missing that Q. Just saying, I don't even need to land this. I'll take you out anyway. Has decided to go a little bit more AP heavy, not completing that Zanya's Hourglass quite as fast as we might have thought, but still has the Seeker's Arm Guard, trying to keep himself alive against Sunny Days, who, as we actually see a real fight in the top lane, maybe for once, maybe not. Both ultimates popped, and both champions decide almost immediately to back away from that one. The bot lane from Boyz into Hood was arriving, so smart by Blue Castle. Acquiescence out of mana, didn't really want to continue that fight any further, so they do decide to back off, but hey, at least we got to see what their ultimates do for one part of the game.
For sure. And I think if I'm Blue Castle, I agree with the disengage. You've been kind of taking these little trades with the Maokai all game, and all of a sudden he all-ins you. I'd be a little suspicious as well. I think, Nature's Grasp out of nowhere, huh? Okay, maybe I'll just back off from this one. And sure enough, it's the Boyz in the Hood bot lane there. And it looks like they might be able to pick up this top turret, as we have seen the lane swap from Boyz in the Hood. And it's Lucian Rakan up in the top lane, and Blue Castle's kind of shaking his head like, man, I didn't feed these guys. Who fed these guys?
Yeah, exactly. Not who he was hoping to have show up in his lane. The lane swap, not really responded to in time by Bagels. We're not able to, of course, shove Acquiescence under his tower. He did teleport to the bot lane to save that one. So we'll see if that teleport advantage can yield anything in the next couple of minutes. Maybe could have been used by Blue Castle to try to keep some other stuff alive, or Yo-Yo Bros expending his could have been the potential to save the top tower, but they do give it up, and that Herald as well. So major objectives not going so well for Bagels in this game, but they are only down 3,000 gold, 3,200 gold, to be a little bit more specific. So not an insurmountable lead, you have to think at this point, especially as we have mentioned the team comp differences. So Bagels doing their best to stay in this game, but they do have to watch that dragon stacking going on for Boyz into Hood. As we see a bit of an engage, the calling comes through, and the quickness as well. The solar flare coming through from the Leona as well to try to get a bit of CC. Stop the calling as well. The teams look for the disengage as Gragas has arrived on the scene. Predator popped, but not able to do anything. Flick back down to the bot lane. What do you know? It's a wet noodle fight.
Yeah, we'll have to see if both these top laners make a move to use their ultimates, but I have to think the answer is probably no. Personify is going to drop the Rift Herald in the mid lane. Might see a fight
on a
here.
Flank. Tower going pretty low. We'll see if Bagels really want to take this fight. You have to think probably not. XP down across the board for Bagels, actually becoming a bit alarming at this point. 1 level on the support, 2 levels on the jungler, has become 1 level now, so maybe not as alarming as I was implying there, but do not want to fight. Ultimate's down as well. Both major CC ultimates down. So probably not the fight that you want to take. Probably want to regroup and maybe reset for this dragon, which is spawning in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. So first mountain dragon of the game will be mountains from here on out. We'll see if that is able to be taken or contested by Bagels. That would benefit them quite a lot of tanks all around in this game. So the mountain dragons could be very important.
Now, if you're watching this kind of bot lane fiasco between the two top laners and thinking, man, what's going on? When I play Aatrox, I do a lot more damage than this. I think what's happening here is that there's healing reduction coming from Acquiescence, but none coming from Blue Castle. We see the Maokai, he's got the Bramble Vest. That's going to be reducing the healing coming out from Blue Castle. Meanwhile, the Maokai's healing is completely unrestricted. There's also Bammy Cinder on Acquiescence too, right? Which is constantly doing damage to Blue Castles as long as they're close to each other. So even if they're just going for short trades and Blue Castle ends up doing more damage, Maokai still comes out on top because he's healing more.
Yeah, for sure. So, it looks fair, but maybe wouldn't be if that Executioners had come through. There was money, actually, for an Executioners on Blue Castle. Decided to go for a couple longswords and a ward instead. So,
yeah, I
decided
really
not to go for that choice. Yeah, could not work out for him, although the rest of the team, not a ton of healing coming through, so maybe trying to just maximize his team fight damage, but you have to think maybe he could get himself a little bit of a lead in the side lane, as we are going to have to hold that thought. Christian being caught out here, the quickness has come through the stun as well over the wall. There's going to be a fight in the Dragon Pit. Christian flashing out almost immediately. Blue Castle has popped the ultimate, but Christian going to be falling on this one. The stopwatch goes down as well. Boyz in the Hood doing very well in this fight as Bagels trying to get themselves to safety. Flashes over the Dragon Pit as they decide we want out. The double kill going over for the tree. Acquiescence in the side. Personified dodging the flash Q from Blue Castle with a beautiful stopwatch. Yo-Yo Bros not able to capitalize on that opportunity as Bagels lose a fight 3-0.
Carl, the trees have learned violence. Maokai picking up the double kill there. It looks like it's going to garner them the dragon as well. And Christian, I tell you, just cannot catch a break. Getting absolutely focused down there at the start of the fight. I thought maybe the flash over the back of the Dragon Pit might save them, but no, Sunny Desu came through with the ultimate and tracked the Xayah down. And yeah, just feels super bad, right? Even had the Featherstorm out, I believe, was able to root 3 members of Boyz in the Hood, and it was looking pretty good, but then, yeah, the health bar just disappeared and it was over. But yeah, that's going to be the third dragon here at 19:22. 19 minutes, 30 seconds for Boyz in the Hood. Little nuts, Carl. That's pretty wild.
That's a fast dragon. The fourth dragon of the game will be spawning around 24 minutes. So that's a pretty early soul for those of you keeping track at home. Something that Boyz in the Hood definitely looking forward to in these team fights. This Mountain Soul, usually not considered to be one of the best souls, a little bit maybe below Ocean or Infernal. But in this game especially, a lot of poke coming through from Yo-Yo Bros. And in a team fight where there's just a lot of tanks going on, a lot of just slow-paced fighting, definitely could be invaluable having those shields coming back every so often if the fight does reset. So see if that can come through. They would have to contest that on the side of Bagels. Don't think that's anything you want to be allowing to go over. And like you said about Christian, we mentioned earlier in the game how safe the Xayah is. You can be safe with the Featherstorm for a while, but you're not really mobile. You can't really get away from anybody. You can kind of just dodge for a couple of seconds. And when you're caught out of position like that, the Featherstorm buys a couple of seconds, but then, hey, Sunny Desu just waiting, has the death mark, takes him out. So going to have to do a little bit more to keep himself alive. Not a ton of heal really for him. Does have the shield potentially from Yo-Yo Bros, but nothing like a Braum or something that could really give a lot of disengage to this AD carry.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there's actually any safe marksmen in the game. I think there's just some are safer than others, right? And you're right, Xayah. Eventually you just track her down, especially with an assassin like Sunny Desu. Now, I was especially critical of Sunny. I didn't think the Zed pick would come through for them, but there were a couple falters there for a little bit. But now, they're just cutting through big goals and getting to the carry, and it's working out pretty well for them.
Yeah, absolutely. In the top lane, Yo-Yo Bros has replaced Blue Castle in attempting to fight Acquiescence. Not going super well for him, finding himself in a little bit of pain in that situation. Backs himself off, not really any kill pressure there from Acquiescence. He is just a tree, after all. And when was the last time you got killed by a tree? So, ask yourself that, and you'll kind of realize the situation here in the top lane, but a lot of armor coming through for this Maokai, starting to build a little bit of MR. This is going to be a very difficult Maokai to kill. A lot of spells are being cast by Bagels, a lot of spammable abilities. So he's going to be healing up every, every couple of seconds with an auto attack, and still no healing reduction actually brought through by the side of Bagels.
Yeah, I don't think any of them have it. I haven't really checked, but I'm pretty sure they don't. Could be a fight.
In the meantime, we're going to see a huge fight breaking out here. Zed taking out Sunny Desu, going down immediately in exchange for Blast Quasars this fight, but it begins to be Boyz in the Hood once again cleaning up. There's the Featherstorm. Could see a huge for Christian, turning the fight a little bit back in his favor, but it's still 3 for 2 in the favor of Boyz in the Hood, but a lot closer than it looked like before those couple of abilities came out. That is a channel in the world where you do not want to be fighting in the jungle against a Xayah standing in a line. Not the prime play. Able to use that ultimate to great effect. Looked like that almost could have been, a clean wipe if he was a little bit stronger. But only one item, but a lot of damage coming through, salvaging that fight for his team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with Luka Doncic kind of sitting at 2 items here, it's not outside the realm of possibility that Christian could have been as well at this point in the game. And I think you're right. If they had 2 items, I think they could have, killed all of them. That was probably one of the better Featherstorms I've seen, hitting I think 4 members. It might have been all of them, but yeah, that was massive and kind of a window into what could be if this game starts to go longer. That Xayah could be scaling up and could be getting more of those plays, those Featherstorms. Might even be able to carry Bagels out of this situation. Now, it's going to have to get much later, and we just mentioned they only have 1.5 items, approaching 2 now, but it's going to be a long time before they can start to get those real carries in. Unfortunately for Bagels, the last dragon that Boyz in the Hood need for their Dragon Soul is in 40 seconds, so they don't have very much time.
Absolutely. Infinity Edge will not be available. Featherstorm should be back up if he needs to keep himself alive. Astral might be a little bit caught out here. Uses the quickness. That's a big engage tool taken off the table now for Boyz in the Hood. They may have to wait for that to come out. It seems like it's a relatively long cooldown. Just a minute, actually. 1 minute and 10 seconds left on that ability. So it would be around 25 minutes. That will be back up if they do want to stall and still fight for this dragon. Not sure Bagels would allow them to stall that long. They do have engage tools of their own. But that dragon, like we said, is spawning in just a few seconds now, and quickness not available for the support.
Yeah, and I mean, Boyz in the Hood, they still have some engage potential, right? Obviously, the quickness
double
is
teleport.
Oh, here we go.
Might just see a forced fight around it. No quickness available, like we've been saying, and kind of had both teleports, and then everything cooled off for a second. Both the teams went, hey, hold on. Maybe we don't want to just run in here headlong. Sunny Desu on a flank now. Isn't seen, I don't believe, so could be wreaking havoc. He does show now. I believe they saw him now. Yeah, the ping's going down onto him. Featherstorm is available for Christian, as well as both of his summoners. But this dragon is going very low. We might have to see a 50-50 come through here, and there's the ultimate pop. World Ender goes down 100 HP on the dragon, but the soul does go over to Boyz in the Hood, and they begin to win this fight. Sunny Desu keeping the backline occupied with the top laner and jungler for Bagels go down there, now in full retreat, and you don't think it's looking very good for them in this fight. The flash from Christian, but he flashes straight into Sunny Desu, going to be taken out, almost able to kill the Zed in return. He does go down in the end. The quickness has come back up. Astral popping that one. Not going to be able to get anything done with that ability, but they turn towards Baron, the soul in their pocket, and 3 dead on the side of Bagels.
Yeah, and I think that might have been Bagels' last chance to kind of bring themselves back into this game. They're very much behind now, right? It's 5K or 7K, actually. My math might be bad there, but it's real bad, right, Carl? Especially Boyz in the Hood can pick up this Baron, and I think they should be able to. I'm not really sure how Bagels would steal this one away, but yeah, there are just maybe a few universes where Bagels are able to pick up this game at this point. I think you start looking at game 2, but there's always a chance, right, Carl? You need to get the close vision, you need to get the picks going. And there are some tools Bagels can use to get those picks, right? You have a lot of CC coming out from Blast Quasar and Kaipora, so that they can get a couple picks, maybe pick Sunny Desu or Luka especially would be a great pick. They can still turn this one around. It's going to be hard, though.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always hope. It's spawning in about 4 minutes, and it's called Elder Dragon. That's probably the only win condition I see here for Bagels. Getting a few picks, like you said, definitely helps, can get you some gold in the pockets, get the shutdowns, and, buy yourself some time, but there's no real window into winning the game from just getting picks. You have to come up with an objective, and I don't even think a Baron at this point is going to be enough, because you're not really in a position to be able to push when you just lose fights all the time. You need some way to win fights, and that way, for me, is Elder Dragon. That buff is so strong, you, sneeze on somebody, and the dragon's spitting fire at them, and they're gone. And I think that's the way they're going to get back into the game. If they can stall for that long, we'll see if they're able to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I think that's working in their favor is that if they can,
Oh,
okay,
Christian.
Cole. Jeez, even just the call. And here's Sunny Desu. He
Sunny
might be
Desu.
looking for it.
Ooh, baits out that Arctic
Spooky.
Assault. There's a lot of spooky abilities going down right now. Blue Castle has to run for his life, even from the Zed, just not tanky enough here. Blastquays trying to get a bit of vision for his team, but it's just not looking very good for Bagels at this point. Christian has gone back to base, has healed up. He will be on his way back. This cannon minion just starting to hammer down on this inhibitor turret. Another line of minions coming through here as Boyz in the Hood appear to be in no rush. They're just waiting for those cannons to take out the tower. Just as I say that, here come the trees from Acquiescence, trying to be blocked up by Blastquays, but he might just pay the price with his life. There's the Laser Prison comes through, but it's just not going to do a whole lot. Astral getting himself back out into this fight. Featherstorm comes through, but not the same impact that we saw earlier. There's the engage as well. Luca now unstoppable, picking up the kill out of Christian. Sunny Desu in the backline, picking up the mid laner as well. Blue Castle and K-Pora running for their life. The Arctic Assault not going to get him out to safety. He goes down as well. It's just Blue Castle left alive, and you don't feel he's going to be able to do a whole lot. 4-0 in that fight. Boyz in the Hood on to the Nexus Towers. The first one has gone down. What can Blue Castle do to save the game? It doesn't look like anything here. He's fighting onto the support, but the Nexus is being focused down to half HP. It's going to be falling, and it is Boyz in the Hood picking up the first game, going 1-0 in this quarterfinal match over Bagels.
Yeah, and Boyz the Hood looks super dominant in that game there, Carl. If that's kind of a foreshadowing for how this series is going to go, Bagels are not going to have a good time. He definitely won't be moving forward because, yeah, Boyz in the Hood were just huge in this game. It really started in the bot lane for me. Luka Doncic and Astral just doing so much for their team and getting it started early, right? That level 2 engage just did so much for their ability to start snowballing that lane, and then they just kind of ran away with the game from there.
Yeah, in my line, this is pretty much a straight bot lane carry. You know, we saw some, nice plays in the mid lane trying to shut down Yo-Yo Bros, but for the most part, there was pressure in both solo lanes for Bagels for a lot of this game, actually. We saw, Yo-Yo Bros 2 levels ahead, 20 CS ahead, 30 CS ahead in the top lane for Blue Castle, and they just weren't able to get anything with it. This bot lane was pretty much over from the word go. Luca and Astral, getting summoners at level 2, getting a kill at level 3, getting more kills at level 4 and 5, the dragons going down, and this bot lane control just emanated across the map, able to get other objectives. They were able to get a fight, get the Baron, come up with that Dragon Soul as well, and there was just no hope ever for this bot lane to fight back. We saw the one really strong Featherstorm and Blade Caller, but there's just, nothing that you can really do if you're Christian at this point. He can't keep himself alive. Luca's two-shotting him. The crit build turned out to be genius, as the tanks never really got rolling. He's just ripping through everybody, and a really strong performance by Luca and Astral all told.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of the craziest part to me was that I think the way you really win this bot lane, that's basically just all engage, all damage super early, but with Xayah scaling a little better, is that you just pull the trigger first, right? I mean, both lanes are super big on hard engage, but not a whole lot of peel. I mean, there is some, but especially at level 2, there's not a whole lot of safety. There's not a whole lot of peel from Leona or Rakan. Maybe a little bit more from Rakan, but it was really just whoever went in first was going to win this lane, and it was Luka Doncic and Astral, and they just ran away with it.
Yeah, very, very strong game by the bot lane of Boyz in the Hood, putting themselves 1-0 up in this series. We're going to take a little bit of a break while we get ready for game 2, but we will be back with that in just a couple of minutes. Style Esports returns in just a few. Welcome back, Style Esports fans, to our final quarterfinal match here in the Style Esports Season 2 playoffs. It is Boyz in the Hood with a one-game lead over Bay Goals. Bringing you the second game, I am, of course, Jarl Carl, joined by Axeman87. Ready for this game?
I sure am, Carl. And just moving into game two, one thing I got to say about both these teams I really like is just how much they're making use of the tank meta. We see a lot of teams in Style Esports just kind of completely avoid tanks. I know in particular, we like to harp on just Ornn not appearing in drafts at all, despite being such a strong competitive champion, and really just a bunch of tanks too, right? I mean, you have stuff like Set, Sejuani, Zac. They're just making it through drafts without getting picked or banned. And we're seeing a lot of those picks so far in this series already and in the bans as well. And even this draft, I mean, there's already Set bans and Galio bans, Nunu, Maokai. So I really like that they're paying attention to that tank meta because I just think it's so strong.
I agree. Yeah, it's a really, really good point, I think. And there is that Ornn. Of course, once again, this game was pro-drafted, so we got a sneaking suspicion that Sejuani will be the pick here for Personify Profit Caster right here. But yeah, showing you into the tips and tricks here of the casting trade. Just figure out what's going to happen and then predict it. And
Yep.
You'll just be a prophet. We got a Zoe coming through too. Always fun to see. You could just do kind of random stuff with Zoe in a lot of games. Get a random redemption coming down to save somebody, put someone to sleep, blow them up from the other side of the map. Who knows? So a lot of fun things can come through with that champion. On the side of Bagels, just a little bit more meta standard here. I think Vladimir, Jarvan, Syndra. These are all really strong champions right now in solo queue and in competitive play. The Syndra especially sticks out. Really, really strong champion. You can do everything. You have crowd control. You have burst. You have control. Excited to see what goes on in this mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I've heard people say Syndra is the strongest champion in the game. I'm not sure I'm in that camp, but Syndra's absolutely very, very strong, especially as like a flex pick too. I'm not really sure she was used as a flex pick in the draft. I think she was picked in the second set there, but after the Xayah Rakan, so not a flex pick in this instance, but still very much a very strong champion. I'm not really sure how this mid lane goes. I think it's a bit of a skill matchup, but I could be wrong about that one. Either way, there's going to be tons of damage coming out of this mid lane, even if it's only coming from one champion. So down here in the bot lane, we're already starting to see these picks. And as you mentioned, Carl, we know it's going to be picked, and now you do too. It's going to be Xayah Rakan versus Lucian Bard. Some very, very strong lanes here. Now, we might have conflicting opinions about this one, but I think it might go over to Lucian Bard. I mean, we saw Christian on Xayah last game. A little underwhelming. We saw Luka Doncic on Lucian just absolutely dominate. Now, they're missing the Rakan pick, which was kind of integral to their success in game one. So it might be a little bit different story, but I think just based off the ADC performance alone, I think Boyz in the Hood might have the advantage here in this game.
Absolutely. Really, really strong performance coming through for Luka. And you have to think there's a little bit of a mental advantage as well here for the side of Boyz in the Hood. Christian, not the greatest of showings in that first game, does have the Lovers duo on his side. So we'll see if that's able to turn the tide, but I think there will be quite a lot of fighting here in the bot lane. There's not a lot of tankiness. There's a lot of damage, and there's a grudge between these two teams. So I would expect to see a lot of fireworks in kind of the mid lane and the bot lane. We mentioned a lot of damage, and the top lane more likely maybe left a little bit alone. Not really sure how you kill Vladimir if you are Ornn Sejuani. So something to watch out for as well. Jarvan, could be there for counter gank. I just don't see a lot going down on the top side, and I think it'll be more focused on the bot side and the dragons, kind of as it was in game one.
Yeah, the top side very much going to be kind of a scaling lane, just something that gives both teams a booster shot if this game goes past 20-30 minutes. That's going to provide a lot of value to both teams. But I think in terms of late game value, and it really depends on how the lane goes, I think Acquiescence brings a little bit more with the Ornn items. Of course, that's a bit of a moving target, right? Who knows where this game is going to be in 30 minutes. If Blue Castle pops off on Vladimir, that's going to be pretty good for Bay Goals. That's going to be super impactful. But if he doesn't, I think it's just going to inherently go over to Ornn. And part of the Ornn's strength is that he literally just has to stay in the game until he's level 14 to provide value to his team. And that's it. I mean, most people would prefer if you don't run it down on Ornn, but even that isn't required because you could still build an item for your carry if you're 0-10. So Yeah, acquiescence essentially has to do nothing, avoid dying, maybe avoid Blue Castle getting super fed on farm, and they'll get success. Blue Castle has a very much more difficult win condition here. He really has to get this advantage early and start getting fed for him to matter more than the Ornn will. But two very high quality junglers. These are junglers with that top quality pedigree, J4 and Sejuani. It's hard to tell which one's going to be better. I think it's just going to kind of play into which works better with their comp and what J4 decides to build, right? His team is already pretty much made of solid damage and engage, so I think he really just kind of needs to go a little bit more of a tanky build here. But Kpora could, build damage. It's always an option for J4, getting the Warrior enchant, taking Electrocute as well. And J4 can have some pretty crazy ganks, but I think we should probably see a tankier J4 in this game.
Warrior Electrocute can always be, a little more fun to go if you are Kpora. But again, it's the playoffs, it's the quarterfinals. You definitely want to go with what is the best, not what is necessarily the most fun. Touching on that top lane once again, we've kind of been talking about how Ornn maybe gives a little bit better value to his team. Kind of think of it as like Ornn giving better value, and I think the Vladimir has a little bit more potential if the Vladimir gets very strong. Zoe, Lucian, and Bard can all find themselves one shot in, literally one shot. You just, ultimate and Hemoplague, Transfusion, a little bit more AoE could just, wipe the AD carry and the mid laner off the map if they're not ready for it. So that is also a possibility, whereas the Ornn, isn't really going to be one-shotting anybody. He might help his carries one-shot other people a little bit better with those upgraded items, but he himself is just not quite as much of a threat, but I think is a lot more reliable.
Yeah, and critical to note as well, I mentioned earlier it's impossible to tell where this game's going to be at 30 minutes, but if it gets to a situation where Blue Castle is super fed on Vladimir and he's his team's main carry in this late game, most of the CC coming through from Boyz in the Hood is going to be pretty unreliable, very telegraphed skill shots. We're talking about Glacial Prison. We're talking about Call of the Forge God. And Vladimir can go completely untargetable and dodge both of those. That's huge, right? I mean, if you can't lock down the main carry for the enemy team, you're not going to win those late game team fights. And with Vladimir doing so much AoE damage, and like you mentioned, being able to blow up most of the champions on Boyz in the Hood, it could be a situation where Blue Castle just kind of leads his team to victory. But who knows? We'll have to find out here. We're loading onto Summoner's Rift. And for the most part, most of this game, I think we'll be looking at the bot lane.
Yeah, I think that is where we'll see the most of the fireworks in this game. I think the crit build coming through from Luca, giving himself a lot more lane priority and damage. And I think in this game, it definitely is the correct choice. You have 4 champions that are not tanky really in any way. That Jarvan looks like will be going for maybe a little bit more of a tanky build, but the crit should be definitely rolling through for Luca in this game, doing a lot of damage for himself. And I just think these bot lanes, the level 2 advantage might decide the lane. We've seen it in a lot of games here in the playoffs so far, that level 2 spike not really respected by the losing side in that push war. And so if Christian and Blazquezar find themselves down level 2-1, a flash engage from Astral could just end the lane right there. If Luca's able to pick up a couple of kills, blow a bunch of summoners, Personify could be lurking down there after that. And the game was essentially decided from the word go in the bot lanes in the first game, and we'll see if that's true again here in game number 2 as we get into the game.
Yeah, for sure. And I would hope Christian makes a little bit more of an effort to either respect the level 2 or maybe try to get it first themselves. But even if they don't, they're in a much better situation already than they were in game 1, having that Rakan. Rakan just has a little bit more reliable peel than Leona does. Leona has CC there, but most of it's just kind of built into her hard engage kit, just kind of hitting that go button and never like coming back from it. Where Rakan is literally built to protect Xayah. So if they get hyper engaged on, even if they die a couple times, they're going to be dying a lot less. And that could help them get into the late game. And I think their team outscales. I mean, despite having the Ornn and Zoe as well, I think that the late game goes to in Boyz in the Hood here.
Yeah, Bagels. Yeah, the Vladimir Syndra is just a lot of damage leaking. If you think about 6 items, somebody gets hit by a stun, they're just doomed. There's not a lot of way out of that. The ultimate itself could take out Luca if he has not built a lot of defensive statistics, and so that is something to watch out for if you are thinking about pushing it late game. I think both these teams probably want to end the game reasonably early. Late game, tends to be a little bit more of a scrappy affair. A lot of damage coming through. A single mistake can kind of throw the game. I had I think 10-0 Cassidy on my team that was level 16. We were going to fight, and I was like, it's either this guy's Pentakill or it's this guy's, int spree, and he just went in, got hooked, went a little too far with the Riftlock, got hooked, blown up, and we just lost the game immediately. So something to look out for. Late game can always be an interesting affair. So not necessarily something to watch out for. As we were talking about level 2, they're going at it at level 1 here down in the bot lane. Luca taking a lot of damage, but keeping himself safe. These two lanes just cannot stop fighting each other. It's been 30 seconds, and they're already at it. The stun's rolling through. Omnistone Bard, so we'll see what he's able to get. And Kpora coming down to the bot lane, maybe realizing that level 2 is a thing. A level 2 gank here now. Astral and Luca having to run for the live. Ignite goes down onto Luca, has flashed away himself. There's the EQ from Jarvan trying to knock up Luca. The teleport coming through already. This is going to be a huge fight down in the bot lane. Astral having to flash out, going very low, but here comes Acquiescence. He is level 2. Kpora level 2 as well. Everybody's level 1 in this fight. Besides that, there's the EQ going forward. Luca going to go very low, going to get stunned into the wall. Kpora, but he has picked up first blood, the flash away, and the heal from Chris to keep himself alive. As well onto the top laner. Acquiescence going to go down. Christian has picked up that kill, and disaster in the bot lane for Boyz in the Hood. They teleported in to their deaths as this fighting actually not going to stop in the mid lane. They're going at it as well. Yo-Yo Rose gets put to sleep, has used the cleanse to keep himself alive. Both summoners used there as he gets himself to safety, but the bot lane is where the action is at.
Yeah, Bagel's doing very, very well for themselves, especially in the mid lane. Yo-Yo Bros able to make it out of that game. So important, right? You might think that the kind of action down the bot lane was the most important part, but really, I think a lot of it is just the difference of what just happened between these two junglers. Kpora just arrived in the bot lane and got 2 kills for his team. Meanwhile, oh, here we go. Personified. No, nothing going to happen there. But meanwhile, Personified gets this gank off mid lane and doesn't get much for it, right? I mean, you get both summoner spells off of Yo-Yo Bros, but while that is value technically, you have to convert on it at some point, right? Both those summoners are already a quarter of the way back to being back online for Yo-Yo Bros. If they don't kill the Syndra in that time, then essentially Kpora got a whole lot of money for Personified getting nothing. And that's going to be very, very bad for the junglers, right? Moving forward into these early objectives, it's going to be huge if Kpora is able to get that gold advantage. And if we just check on it right now, yeah, almost 500 gold ahead already here at 4 minutes, Carl. That's huge.
A little bit of fighting again in the bot lane. Personify has arrived. Astral, who's kind of hanging out by himself right now. Personify going forward a little bit onto Christian, who does go forward with the Arctic Assault. Can he land the stun onto this Zio? The Blade Caller going to come back and root up Personify. He's going to be taken out, and Christian has gone down in exchange over to Luca, picking up that kill for himself. And there is the red buff actually now over to the Illusion, but he has to run for his life. Kpora back in the bot lane. The action is non-stop. There's the dash. Velasquez are trying to get a bit of poke down. Luca turning around to just force him off a little bit. So the AD carry for Boyz in the Hood gets away with that red buff, but there is just more action in the bot lane, not necessarily going their way.
Yeah, I'll say, I was just mentioning how things are going very well for Kpora. Gets a double kill there and actually kills Personify. Now this is very, very one-sided, like a 600 gold lead, and the first dragon is up. I don't think there's any way Personify can make a move onto this one. Kpora is not in the area, right? But I have to think just the map pressure alone is going to keep the Sejuani away from this dragon, but we will have to see here as Yo-Yo Bros is channeling that back. Interesting to see what they pick up with their money here. They'll have about 2,500 gold, I think, or just 1,500 there. Yeah, so they're going to be moving towards picking up a Luden's Echo, I think, but could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. Up on the top side of the map, though, Kpora is looking for this gank, and Personifies were right behind them.
Just grabbing the Scuttle Crab, I think. Walking out, safety, grabbing that farm and saying, peace out.
Yeah, so nothing too much going on there.
Speaking of stuff going on in the bot lane, Astral is wiped off the face of Summoner's Rift, surgically removed from the map. Luca looking in wonder at where his support used to be, saying, whoa, where'd he go? I'm getting out of dodge. Grabs a bit of a health relic to keep himself speedy and a little bit healthy, and just walks out, popping the biscuit, and a full 160 in the bot lane compared to last game.
Yeah, I'll say, and it might be some confirmation bias, Carl, but I'm not 100% on the synergy between Bard and Lucian. I'm not, normally Lucian is one of those champions that has a lot of engage potential early on. I'm not really sure Bard can help out with that. Obviously, they get some kind of magical journey synergy going. They can get the Lucian in there for like some kind of tactical insertion type deal. That could be good. But other than that, Bard's just kind of a leave champion alone with heals and stuff like that and just kind of leave him. That's really not what Lucian wants, right? I mean, you kind of want someone to help you go in and make these big plays in the early game so you can snowball later. But yeah, I'm not really sure if the Bard pick is working out for him.
Tactics 101 here with Axeman87, everybody. That's why you tune in. Here to Style Esports, we got that deep military analysis on the Rift here in the League of Legends. But do agree with that. Bard, more of a roam-style champion. Lucian, not really one to be left alone in a lane. Astral's, not really roaming, but he's definitely leaving Luca around alone in the lane as he keeps getting killed. So not quite working out for that support so far, but they do have a lot of burst potential if they are able to land a stun onto Christian. More kills than an AD carry don't make the AD carry any more tanky. Make him hurt more, but not a lot more defense. So Christian's still susceptible to getting blown up if he can be taken out before that Featherstorm has time to be used. See if that does make an appearance in the team fights. And actually, thus far, Luca, farther ahead in items than Christian if they are fighting for this dragon. Christian has 900 gold in inventory, but he bought that Caulfield's hammer earlier, has a little bit of CDR, but a lot less AD than his Lucian so far. So I think actually the fight advantage goes over to Lucian right now, just in terms of build at this point in the game. So something to watch out for if the fight for the dragon goes on before they are able to recall.
Yeah, critically as well. He's got level 6. Christian doesn't. And that could be, very relevant here. It'll have to be, in a fairly short amount of time if they want to get that advantage. Yeah, Christian just picked up 6 as well, but Luca's actually had an experience here. They could transition that into an advantage as well. Now, most of that is just from getting the solo XP, which means Astral is very much behind at level 4, but hey, an advantage is an advantage, right? But here is Bagels taking that first dragon in the game, that Infernal. We'll see if they can get it.
Smite's up! Not able to steal it. Sunny Days, who has to flash over the wall. And there is Blastquazer trying to follow with the quickness. Personified, a little bit caught out of position. Teleport coming through for Blue Castle. Not sure he's going to be able to get a whole lot with this. Glacial Prison is still available. Yeah, Prox's Phase Rush runs off. Not probably quite what he was hoping for when he pressed the teleport button. Luca, a little bit far up in the lane, actually does have to support with him. Not sure they win this, actually. The side of Bagel going
damage.
Nice from Luca, and Blastquazer kind of just runs straight to his death. The flash forward, also not quite what he was looking for. Flashes the emote, saying, hey, I'm honorable at least. Don't hate on me too much. Missing the stun there, but Blastquazer just giving one back.
Yeah, for sure, and they might be going for the dive here, but here's Featherstorm, and
Featherstorm is up. Luca just sees his support die before his very eyes. Christian does have flash. You have to think he's going down here, though. In the end, no! What a flash from Personify, able to get the shutdown onto Christian, but Blastquazer has arrived on the scene. Personify going to get himself out to safety, but not what they were hoping for when they went for that dive. The bot lane, just a fiesta if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, it was close there. Almost got the root off to Personify. I think that might have spelled their doom if they were able to get that off. I think the turret might have killed them, but couldn't quite get it there. So super unfortunate for Christian, but still well played nonetheless. I think they did fairly well. Still 4-2-1 on the Xayah, so doing pretty good indeed. But yeah, Blastquazer getting that unfortunate death there. I think they really underestimated that early Lucian damage. It really is difficult to shut a champion like Lucian out of the game this early in the game because he just spikes so hard. I mean, you mentioned he had more items here than Christian did. That alone, to me, would be like, maybe we should be careful about this one. But really, all you could do in a fight as Blastquazer is really hard to engage. Right? I mean, you're Rakan, so what else are you going to do? If they go for that fight, and I think they probably should have, I think the hard engages is probably a good idea there. When
tempered fake him, so this could be a huge double stun if he's in position in time. There's the stun down onto Christian, going very well. He's going to be taken out almost immediately. A nice stopwatch from Astral. They knew the Featherstorm was not available. Longer cooldown now, was nerfed some months ago. Luke under the tower, actually the culling, trying to take this one up. Not sure he has the health to do this. Stops the culling. I don't think that was all of the bullets. Not sure what happened there, but does not take out Blastquazer. Could definitely be the savior creep there, saving Mr. President. Blastquazer has been saved, but yeah, Christian, no Featherstorm, and there's that burst we were talking about from Lucian with this build. A lot of AD. There's just no way to stop it for Blastquazer. Stun came down and dashed away from Grand Entrance. Christian's dead. Yeah,
so while Luca is still kind of reaping the rewards of the early game, I think it's really important to note that while in game one, we saw a situation where it wouldn't really be possible for Christian to kind of outscale and scale into the late game, in this scenario, we definitely can. So even though we're seeing Luca have some success right now, I would suspect it's going to fall apart pretty hard if they don't shut down Christian in a big way very short. Now, Yo-Yo Bros is in trouble. Oh, Paddlestar misses. That's unfortunate there. Yo-Yo Bros makes it out, and the ult connects with Sunny Desu, doing almost as much damage as Yo-Yo Bros took there. So an interesting trade for sure. K-Board's in the area, might be looking for something, but not going to walk away from that one. And both mid laners are chugging pots.
Nice dodge by Luca. Nice dodge by Luca in the bot lane. More fighting. Christian going pretty low. Didn't have to use the Featherstorm. However, but at the same time, ooh, nice portal. Actually, not probably quite the portal he was looking for. Luca, when do you go to the portal? Get to the chopper. He's not able to do so. He's shut down by Christian. 5 kills now for this AD carry. Interesting to see there was a shutdown actually on the 2-in-1 Lucian. So shows where that farm and that damage has been so far. Herald summoned up in the bot lane. Didn't even get to mention both summoners were blown by Yo-Yo Bros in the mid lane, but that's, seems like it was 5 minutes ago at this point. There's so much fighting. It's a 3v3. Nobody's sure where to go. Christian has the Featherstorm available. The quickness comes through as well. The Tempered Fate on the tower not going to do a whole lot. K-Pora going to be going into this fight. There's the Cataclysm. Sunny Days who picks up a kill onto Christian. K-Pora going to fall afterward, and the engage goes a little bit unfortunately awry as Christian's not able to follow up on that engage from his jungler.
Yeah, and I think the Tempered Fate on the tower actually blocked the charge. So I think it's kind of obvious, but I never really considered that interaction. But dodging a lot of damage there from the Rift Herald, so pretty interesting on that one. I guess well done by Astral to protect his turret from the Rift Herald. Have you ever seen that, Carl? I don't think I've ever seen that.
I don't think I've ever seen that work. I knew it was possible. Hadn't seen it work. Wasn't quite sure what had gone on. I figured that was what the point was, but I didn't know if it had worked out in that specific fight. Very nice presence of mind by Astral to use that in the middle of that fight too. I mean, you have a fight going on 3v3, and you have the presence of mind to use your ultimate on your tower, your own tower, to save it from a Rift Herald. So I think shoutouts to Astral. For that play there, the dragon has now spawned. Second dragon of the game. It will be that Cloud Dragon, so we will see Mountain or Ocean Soul, but we have a bit more fighting here. K-Pora just taken on immediately. Luca with a great call. He's going to be killed in return. Sunny Desu also on a killing spree. Blastquazer has gone down. Christian virtually no chance to keep himself alive in this situation. Looks like they're trying to give it over. The heal, they're saying, okay, just give it over to the support. Make sure he dies, and Christian goes down again. 6-5. He has been fully involved in this game.
Yeah, for sure. That's an interesting scoreline. For sure, but despite giving up a lot of gold, still has quite a bit in his pockets, and we keep saying it's going to outscale eventually, right? I mean, they got quite a few items for themselves here at this point. It's only going to get worse from here, but yeah, that second dragon, is going to go down to Boyz in the Hood, making it 1 dragon apiece. And the Dragon Soul is going to be another mountain here, Carl. So another mountain soul. And with some tanky boys on the map, that's a pretty impactful one. I think not more impactful for Bagels as it is Boyz in the Hood, though. I think Boyz in the Hood are going to benefit from that one quite a bit, especially if you're personifying Acquiescence. That could be absolutely massive, having that shield on top of the big health bar. But, Tempered Fate on the mid laner.
Well done. Stun could be coming through. A double stun, actually. Scout of the Week coming through from Yo-Yo Bros. A nice flash from Luca. Second great flash of the game, keeping himself safe, not able to be taken out by that unleashed power. Astral did take the full brunt of that. So mid laner for support traded. Sunny Desu having to flash himself away. Quickness, not quite sure what the aim of that one was. Luca, some nice footwork, I should say, in that team fight. As it's now 4 strong in the mid lane. 1-for-1 support for a mid laner, but it looks like Bagels actually has the upper hand after that fight.
Oh, here's called the Forge God.
Coming
too much.
Calling to clear the wave. They're just going to push him off here. Oh, Acquiescence actually looking in, maybe for a bit more here. Extra flash picked up by Sunny Days. So Luca having to cut himself away. There is the Sleepy Triple Bubble has gone down. K-Pora has fallen in this fight. Blastquazer are going to follow very shortly after this one. Blue Castle trying to get himself to safety, but he's just not going very far. Taken out by the Proto Boat. Astral has arrived on the scene for a bit of swag, saying, hey, I'm here, I'm helping. As they push down the mid lane, a great counter engage we saw coming through for Boyz into Hood. Luca getting himself out, and the fight finally seems to be coming to an end.
Yeah, and Christian had to expend Featherstorm there. I think they were trying to dodge a Paddlestar. I'm not 100% on that one, though. but did use that ultimate ability, so it's going to be on cooldown for the next little bit. Now, there's not too much coming up here in the next little while. They do have Rift Herald in a couple seconds, so that's something that they could be making a play around for sure. But other than that, I think Feathersword probably very well used to. I think it was dodging a Battlestar. I'm not 100% on that one though.
Definitely could have been something you do want to avoid. Acquiescence, you're a little bit low, buddy, but he is 4 levels ahead of K4. Oh, not sure that's... Oh, nice fancy footwork here by the top laner. Gets knocked up at the grand entrance. Dodges the Q, too. He's doing very well for himself, but he is taken out. K4 has picked up that kill and unleashed power. Coming down onto Luca. He's saying, whoa! Wasn't ready for that. Backing himself off in the mid lane, but the flash was expended by Yo-Yo Bros as the push comes through in the mid lane. I also want to touch on very briefly, the Bork is the second item coming through for Luca in this game. So he wants a little bit of lifesteal, doing kind of the Bork Essence Reaver build that I talked about in the first game in kind of backwards order. So it seems like whatever build I prescribe, he goes for the other one, which is
gotcha.
A little bit unfortunate, but shows what I know at this point. So does have a little bit of lifesteal for himself, able to sustain up after he gets virtually one-shot by Syndra from just a couple of spells.
Yeah, for sure. I think having a little bit more sustain there is definitely going to help them out. But yeah, I'm not really sure. Does the Essence Reaver Bork build, does that happen a lot? Normally, it's one or the other for me.
I'm a big fan of it. I think it's a nice combination of the two. Bork Essence or Bork.
Oh wow!
Thinking about builds.
Hold on.
Christian going to be paying the price. Doesn't matter what build he has because he's not on the map anymore. He's taken out. The Herald picking up the mid tower as well. Just wants to be invited to the killing party here. He's picked up a tower for himself. 1 kill for the Herald, 1 kill for Boyz n the Hood as they push down the mid lane. Herald with a second charge. It wants 2 kills. The map is fighting back here as the second tower has fallen. It's a 5-man strong push in the mid lane. Can they hit this Herald before it charges at the tower? Looks like they can. No charge will be coming off from this one, but they're pretty low. And it looks like Boyz n the Hood decide to back off, set up around that dragon, and get that first mountain dragon for themselves.
Yeah, and I think one of the main issues, if not the main issue for Bagels, is that they're kind of lacking in a front line. K4, despite taking the Conqueror Keystone, has taken Warrior and looks to be building a Black Cleaver here, so not very tanky at all. Kind of more of a straight bruiser type deal with a more damage for sure. But I think Cinderhawk might have helped them a little bit more. But we'll have to see how this turns out for them. It is Blast Quasar going for a little bit more of a damage build too, which is interesting to me. I figured Blast Quasar might be building more tank here as they are kind of missing a true tank. Definitely an interesting build adaptation for him going for that Seeker's Arm Guard, but we'll see a fight here likely over this first dragon. It turned out Boyz n the Hood went for the reset instead of setting up for that dragon. Tempered Fate comes through. That's a 3-man Tempered Fate. This could be a huge stun if he times it right. The stun comes through, going to stun up the jungler, but the Flying Drag did get away. There's the quickness coming through. A 4-man quickness and a knockup from the grand entrance, but it might not be enough for him. Astral has picked up the kill on the Blue Castle as Boyz n the Hood now in full control of this fight. A little bit of a missed Glacial Prison on that one, but it does not make any difference. Sunny Desu picking up 2 kills, and it's 3 for 1 in this fight. Luca did get taken out in that fight, so a little bit more equal. He has been shut down. Vladimir picking up the kill. Blue Castle able to take out that AD carry, but the dragon will go over regardless. Bork's been finished up for Luca, and Boyz n the Hood win another fight. Yeah, so a little bit different situation. Bagels were able to pick up 1 dragon. I'm wondering if it's going to be enough to delay the Dragon Soul long enough for Christian to kind of get back online and scale up. I'm not really sure if it is, I mean, we're seeing Christian, who had a lot of success earlier in the game, kind of start to fall off almost. I mean, had a lot of deaths since their last kill. I think 3 back-to-back deaths, excuse me. I might be wrong about that, but I'm not really sure if Christian is a solid win condition for them anymore. I think they might be looking to Blue Castle for a late game scaling win condition here. Yo-Yo Bros also available for that as well. So we'll have to see how the game plays out. But I have to say, Carl, I really think Bagel's biggest problem is the lack of front line. I mean, you look across the board, everybody seems to be trying to do damage, and while there is a lot of damage on the board, there isn't much else, right? You can't do damage if you're dead. That is something that Bagels, I think, are finding in this game. The Zanya did come through for Blast Quasar, and it's definitely not a
pure damage item, but it's definitely not a tank item either. We thought we might see the Zeeks come through, the Knight's Vow, more standard items that would also allow Christian to just do a lot more damage when that quickness had been expended, and just generally with the Knight's Vow. And then the Cinder Hulk not coming through for Kpora is just a really big head scratcher for me in this game. I just don't think that having that warrior is really ever going to make a difference. You don't need that much more damage. And so interesting to see that build selection as we see Yo-Yo Bros being engaged on by Acquiescence. I think that Ornn not one-shotting people earlier. He's doing pretty much damage by himself. The quickness has been expended. Call of the Forge God has come through. Blastoise are trying to get himself out to safety. Acquiescence down to half HP. He does not die very quickly. Tempered Fate comes out to try to slow down the engage, and Kpora has been blown up. There's that damage not coming through that we saw. The tanking is, oh, what a great Q from Bard as well. A double stun coming through. Portals himself out to safety. Very clean from Astral. Featherstorm has to be expended by Christian, but he's not going to be keeping himself alive for that much longer. Has to flash out a nice Blade Caller, but it's just not going to make that much of a difference. Sunny Desu does have an extra flash, decides not to expend it thus far in the fight, but it is 3-0 in favor of Boyz Hood as they're going to keep pushing forward. Sunny Desu, Ina Christian, he's not long for this world, going to be taken out of Blade Caller to try to do a bit of damage in retaliation.
This redemption.
Redemption coming through as well. They might look for the end. This could be your game-ending push here. Could be the series-ending push if they decide to go for it. Kpora has arrived back on the scene, gets put to sleep, gets woken up and sent straight back to the death chamber. He is going down. Luca picking up that kill for himself, and there are 3 members now back alive, and Boyz Hood decide to back off from quite an exciting spree of fighting, but they pick up the kills regardless.
Yeah, and Blue Castle just barely able to fend them off. I really thought the redemption might be the end of the game there. The only thing really stopping them was the health bars not having that resource up. And I figured with the redemption, that might bring them within range to kind of end the game. But yeah, Blue Castle just barely able to pull out that AoE damage and yeah, push Boyz Hood back for now, right, Carl? I mean, it seems like this team really could just back and run back into the enemy nexus if they wanted to. I'm not sure if Bagels would be able to stop them, but yeah, to me at this point, it seems like Bagels kind of baited themselves out with their early success. We mentioned a couple times that Kpora was just really pulling ahead of Personify. I think they might have baited them into the Warrior enchant. Same thing down in the bot lane with Christian and Blastoise too. I feel like Blastoise might have built different items if they hadn't had so much success in the early game. So maybe that kind of discipline issue, that kind of just, despite us doing very well, just kind of stick to your guns and stick to the comp as well. I think they might be in a lot better position now, but here we are, right?
Yeah, you can't change the past. You can only deal with what you have right now. And what we have right now is a bit of a flank here onto Sunny Desu and Acquiescence. They are all alone, but their team has arrived on the scene. They're coming up here very shortly. There is the engage as well. Cataclysm comes through. There's the shutdown. 1,000 gold going over as Sunny Desu has fallen, but Luca has arrived on the scene doing a ton of damage. Blue Castle going to be falling immediately in his fight. Christian not able to get himself to safety. That's a double kill for the Ornn. The Zanya going to be thrown down by Blastoise, but it's not going to buy a lot of time, and that is an ace going over for Boyz Hood, only losing Sunny Desu. He got caught, and then the entire Bagels team got caught. The teleport comes through onto the Nexus Tower. The first one going to be going down. This is going to be the end of the game. Nobody's alive for the next 10 seconds. The first tower has fallen. Luke arrived on the scene now. A little bit more damage onto this Nexus Tower. Boyz Hood doing very well in this game. We thought the early game might be questionable after those kills went over, but it doesn't make any difference. The Nexus down to half HP. Kpora not able to do anything, and Boyz Hood advance to the semifinals against Coin Flippers, going 2-0 over Bagels.
Yeah, and I don't think I was expecting that one before this series. I think game one kind of gave us a little bit of a window into the dominance Boyz Hood would have in this series, but man, I was not expecting 2-0. These teams were so close in the statistics, right? And in the bracket as well, that I really thought we might have a closer series here. There were some signs of life from Bagels. I don't think they got totally routed here in this game, but definitely a lot worse than I thought it would be. Definitely very bad on this one, Carl. Yeah, anything to say about this one? I'm kind of reeling from how fast that ended.
I think another just really clean game from Boyz Hood. In both of these games, they've had issues in the early game, and I mean issues in the early game. In the first game, in that both their solo lanes were getting pushed in pretty heavily. Sunny Desu was down 20 CS, was down a kill, was down 2 levels in that first game. Top lane getting shoved in, down 30 farm, but they kind of stuck to their guns. They said, we're winning through the bot lane. And they pushed that lead and they were able to win the game. In this game, Luca and Astral got put really far behind. I think there's no other way to put it early on in this game. That level 2 gank by K4A, I think was just really, really smart. Able to, they realized there was going to be aggression in the bot lane, and they punished Luca and Astral for it. Now, Boyz in the Hood, they got behind, and they still stuck to their game plan. And they realized the bot lane was still strong. They were still farmed up. We still had this Ornn to buff up the items, and a strong team fight. We had this double front line. Sunny Dazu throwing, bubbles in, throwing paddle stars in, and they kind of just didn't care that they were down by a little bit. They said, hey, we still win. And so I think it was just a very clean game and a good understanding of the win conditions of the comp for this team. Boyz in the Hood here, they realized they could still win the game even with this deficit, and they didn't panic and were able to convert it.
Yeah, for sure. Something we mentioned a couple times, so I feel like we really didn't hammer home in this series was just how well Acquiescence was doing in these games. And it's difficult, right? Because both Maokai and Ornn kind of tend to carry the game in subtle ways, but even in these games, it wasn't so subtle, right? I mean, he got a triple kill here on Ornn in this game, which was just massive. But in both games, even the Maokai game, there was a lot of plays that wouldn't have been able to happen without Acquiescence on this one. So this was a fairly short series, so I was going to see if we could try to get I'm not sure, you might want to talk to somebody else, but I want to get Acquiescence in here if that's okay for an interview real quick. We'll see if we can get that to happen, but we'll see if we can get somebody in here.
We have got him in here. There's the noise. Acquiescence has joined the Discord call. Top laner here for Boyz in the Hood. How you doing? And congratulations on the win.
Thanks. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good.
We're definitely, we're doing well. Enjoyed that series. Definitely a little bit shorter than some of the other playoff series that we've had so far, but I'm sure that's not something that you are complaining about as the victor in that series. So, yeah, welcome. How do you feel about the games? How do you feel like they went? How is the wet noodle fighting in the top lane going in the first game? Yeah, just how you feeling? What's your thought process?
Yeah, so we kind of took a little bit of a break in between, so I'm pretty happy with how this one went. I think we just played how we had planned to play it by just picking a CC bot top lane and then looking to play around the bot and mid lane.
Gotcha, for sure. And we see a lot of top laners kind of in style esports make this decision where it's kind of like, in spite of the comp we're playing, I want to play some kind of carry champion, like Darius, or we see Aatrox a lot, and then just kind of not be able to work, even if they're successful in lane, kind of work back into their comp, which is like why I really appreciate top laners like yourself that'll just be like, yeah, I'll play tank for sure. So how do you feel going into games like this, where your team is kind of getting to really shine and stuff? Players like Luca on Lucian especially had such a flashy game and such a good showing. How does it make you feel, and how do you approach really picking champions like Ornn and Maokai?
I think really you just have to put trust in your team that they'll perform correctly and realize that it is a team game and you don't have to solo carry everything. There are other ways to carry besides doing damage and winning lane.
Yeah, for sure. I really like the attitude personally. Now that said, it seemed like you almost weren't content with taking the backseat. There were a couple times where you just had these super aggressive teleports. What's going through your head when you make a play like that?
So when I'm playing a tank top lane, especially a CC tank like Maokai or Ornn, obviously the Ornn teleport second game didn't work out too well, but I think it's important to just not necessarily win lane, but as long as you have the map pressure and trust that your team will be able to snowball the lead that you give them, I think sacrificing lane is a very valuable tool.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think in game 2 it was probably a good idea as well because you had Vladimir opposing, right?
Correct.
And even if he gets ahead, I mean, it's going to be a while before he's really an issue. So I think the early teleport's probably fine. It didn't end up going too well for you, like you mentioned, but still very well done nonetheless. But I do want to talk about that triple kill you picked up in game 2 there. Do you think that was going to end up happening? What was going through your mind as that was going down?
I mean, at that point, really their only win condition in my mind is to get a pick on a side lane, so it makes sense that they would all 5-stack up there. It was kind of lucky to have the team following us there. Yeah, I didn't really expect the triple kill necessarily. It was kind of handed over to me at the end, but it was nice to do some damage.
Yeah, for sure. And Orin definitely capable of doing damage when they're far enough ahead. But yeah, I think that was it from me. Is there anything you wanted to say? Anybody you wanted to shout out before we end it out here?
No, it was a really good series. I was really happy with how we played. I think my team also played very well. I was pretty content taking the backseat in those ones.
All right, for sure. Well, congratulations once again, man. We'll be seeing you, I believe, in the semifinals. I'm not really sure how the playoff bracket works, but
Yep, semifinals against. I'm jumping in. I got the notes. Semifinals against Coin Flippers. Before we let you go, last question, Acquiescence. How you feeling about that matchup? Confident you're going to take the series?
Yeah, I think we have a very good chance at running the whole thing, as long as we keep performing like we are.
That's the confidence that we do like to see. Acquiescence, thank you very much for the interview, and congratulations once again on the win.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Always nice to talk to the players a little bit after the game, get their thoughts on the proceedings of that game. 2-0 once again for Boyz n the Hood over Bagels. If you're just joining us, you missed kind of a brief series, pretty dominating fashion by Boyz n the Hood. You know, stomping through both these games, and I think definitely a challenge for Coin Flippers in the semifinals.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think anybody was expecting this one to be as short as it was, and we don't have too many series that were this short either, but very, very well done from Boyz n the Hood. And foreshadowing for the Coin Flippers series, will they be as dominant as they were tonight? I don't know, Carl, but we're going to find out.
We will certainly find out. Those semifinals should be in just a couple of days, so make sure that you do join the Discord if you want to be caught up on everything going on Style Esports related. We have the Discord, the website, the YouTube channel, and a few music credits. You can find those below the stream. Click some links. We are always around to chat with you in the Discord server, and you will get more updates on the schedule and proceedings of things Style Esports related. So make sure you check those out. That is going to be it for us this evening. A nice 2-0 for Boyz n Hood over Bagels. Once again, they will face Coin Flippers in the semifinals coming up in just a couple of days, and the winner of that will qualify for the grand finals, playing for a share of the $200 prize pool. So we hope to see you then. For myself, Axman87, Sky Ripper, and everybody else here at Style Esports, thank you all so much for watching. We will see you next time. Good night.